Welcome to Time Warp, brought to you today by this stunning 1986 GSX-R 750. An original survivor with 11,634 miles on it. Survivor in terms of original bodywork, original graphics, original paint. This bike has, that I'm aware of, only seen a clear coat for the solo cowl and a fresh clear coat on the tank. Aside from that, this is all original, right down to the, I believe, the original seat vinyl, which is just an amazing testament to Suzuki quality when cared for appropriately. About 33 years ago, almost to the day, I was taking delivery on one of these fine machines. Unfortunately, without hindsight as my guide, I sold that bike in 1989, regretted it ever since, and was fortunate enough to find this beautiful example about 6 years ago. I've put about 500 miles on it since I've had the bike. Has seen, it gets ridden about 3 times a year generally, once in the spring, once in the fall, once in the summer. It has also had a trip down to Deals Gap area and enjoyed a nice long weekend down there and just performed amazingly. I've been fortunate enough to enjoy some very fine modern metal in terms of motorcycling, and this bike was simply an eye-opener with some upgraded suspension components. This thing certainly holds its own. It has seen 145 and 147 on a GPS, so it performs as good as it looks, and yes, it is driven. It is not a trailer queen, although it is certainly worthy of that. So today we're going to do a rundown of mods and upgrades, and to that effect, I want to give a precursor to all that. Anything you see done or we go through, or even that I've missed, anything that's been changed on this bike, all of the original parts are still with this bike, right down to the original exhaust, original shock, original master cylinders, airbox, grab bar, blinkers, brackets, hardware, etc. This isn't everything. But it's all there, right down to the original rubber brake lines, but all of it in just beautiful, beautiful condition. So for the purist that wants or needs a all showroom original bike, this is certainly capable of that. So anyways, so as far as modifications go, the first cosmetic one that jumps out at you are the fresh powder coated wheels, a la Billy White Shoes Johnson style. And for those of you who get that reference, you're obviously from my generation. The rear wheel is an 1100 wheel, which allows for wider rubber, not wide by today's standards, but wider than the original 750 wheels. The running gear is updated, the 520 conversion, with EK 3D premium chain and Super Sprox rear sprocket, Vortex front. The lines have all been upgraded to gaffer steel braided lines. Vezra pads all the way around. The front masters, or front calipers, were rebuilt using genuine Suzuki pistons and seals, and then refinished with VHT baked on paint, along with the adjusters. The front fender is a 87 style aero fender with a reinforced thicker fork brace with it. The forks were upgraded with a gold valve emulator and sprung for a 200-pound rider. The rear shock is upgraded to a gorgeous period correct Fox twin clicker, and I added the 1100 rear link, which is a geometry upgrade on these bikes. The airbox was swapped out in favor of K&N individual pods. DynoJet jet kit. This bike dynoed at 93 rear wheel horsepower, which puts it right in the ballpark for stock motor with minor mods. The exhaust on it right now is just a gorgeous rust-free, period-correct Yoshimura full system. The canister is just gorgeous, right down to the emblem, which is almost like new. So overall, this bike is just beautiful. Got some three minor patina issues, which only adds to the lusters, but I'll go through those and for the sake of full disclosure. The emblems on both sides of the tank, the R emblems, have hairline cracks in them. One crack on each emblem, which is kind of odd, but not unheard of. The mid front mount has a crack, which has been reinforced with epoxy. And the right hand mirror has one crack on the fairing, which is a typical issue with these bikes. These mirrors are normally not on the bike. I store the bike, ride the bike with those mirrors off. They're on just simply for this demo. But aside from that, this bike shows just beautifully. No surprises, no disappointments. Overall condition of the frame, the motor, the electrical, the wiring harness, right down to the oil cooler, everything on this bike appears to be closer to 3 years old than 33 years old. Just simply stunning. So without any further delay, we will give it a start and let this beast breathe a little bit. And so there you have it. Probably one of the finest examples I've ever seen, and these don't come along very often. This is arguably one of the most iconic sport bikes of any era, simply from the fact that this started the sport bike revolution in terms of race bikes with blinkers, aluminum frames, and race engineering, barring comfort and ergonomics. There's other bikes with lower production numbers and higher values from a collector's standpoint, but to be honest, in this enthusiast's opinion, RC30s and OW01s and quite frankly, anything that's come since then have all been in response to this motorcycle. So there you have it. I should probably quit before I get all choked up. No surprises, no disappointments. This bike will show, will ride, will display, whatever one's preference is. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, ride hard, take chances, but keep the shiny side up. Thanks.